We shall now look at specifying fonts. Now, if you recall, the attached external CSS file did not carry any kind of specifications for the font to be used to render the web page. So what will happen in that situation is that depending on the browser and the OS, a default font type or family will be chosen. Now remember, the original intent is to ensure that your web page looks identical across browsers and across devices. Therefore, it is recommended that you make an explicit specification for the font that a browser should use, right? So let's start with specifying a font attribute, and we shall use the single line declaration or the shorthand to do so. We specify a size, right? So this is the default font size. Next, we specify the font family, right, to use. It is a good idea if you're interested in specifying uncommon or exotic fonts to have fallback options, right? So let's say we specify Verdana as the first choice of font to be used. If a particular system does not have the Verdana font installed, then it has the option of falling back on the next option specified, right? And so on and so forth, right? Also, it is usually recommended that you avoid using exotic fonts and stick to fonts that are guaranteed to be available on most systems, right? And finally, we specify the type, right? In general, it is recommended to use sans serif fonts because they are more readable on computers and portable devices like tablets and phones, right? So this is what we've done. We've specified the font size, we've specified for the first choice, second choice, and third choice of fonts to be used, and finally the type of the font used, right? So let's save this. Okay, let's go back to our HTML. Let's remove the text style attributes that we had specified earlier. Let's save this, okay, and hit preview. So there you see, right? So this system has the Verdana font installed, and therefore it presents the text content using Verdana font in its sans serif avatar, right? So now let's say that instead of Verdana, I specify Arial as my first choice. So let's see if that's reflected in the display web. Yes, it is, right? Great. So we've specified so far a font size, we've specified the font family to be used, and finally the type, right? Which is sans serif or serif. And we also mentioned that it is recommended that for computers, tablets and phones, you stick to the sans serif type. Now we shall use some of the additional font attributes to observe how they impact the appearance, right? So let's say we use the font weight attribute and assign it a value bold, right? So what do you think is going to happen, right? Yeah, as expected, the font is now displayed in bold letters, right? So once again, as far as the font attributes are concerned, refer to the attached external CSS for a list of use models and to understand a bit more of how they can be used. You can also refer to the relevant page on W3 Schools, which will provide you a little more information about how these attributes are used and what they really mean.